down here because you got here early, but on the floor, how are we feeling? We are going to hear from two incredible leaders. One of them is the mayor of this incredible city of Cincinnati, Ohio. That's Mayor and the next is the incredible leader, the president and CEO of Jobs Ohio, Mr. J.P. Nassi. Can you guys show them lots of love right now?
What's up, Blackjack League? How we doing? Welcome to Cincinnati. My name is Mayor Aftab, and I'm here with my friend.
Just creating a new product. We're very excited to be here. And one thing I've learned is you don't slow roll the main event. So Mayor, to our 7,000 registered guests, up from 1,000 just 4 years ago. Give yourself a hand.
That's all I
The leader that's making it happen, an entrepreneur in her own right, Candace Matthews Brickey.
Get on your feet, Blackjack League!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay. Baby! This is Keke Palmer!
Your host, Keke Palmer.
Welcome to the Keke Show. You know it's your girl. You know it's your girl. Wow, it is so good to see all of you. I'm so glad to be here to speak with y'all today. Thank you for showing up.
A few thousand people here to see you today.
That is incredible, and that's all it takes. It's just a few people getting together with the same idea and same mission and following through. So I love that, from 15 to 7,000 to more.
Yeah. So my favorite thing about you, because I've talked to a lot of people about your company, they all had input with these questions. And lots of them met you at different places. I think I first met you at Aquila and the Bee, right? Other people have met you at other parts of your life. How have you been able to be intentional with all of the moves you've made from being a child actor, and how those things guided you to be the businesswoman you are today?
Well, I think it's all been a learning process and staying present every part of the road. You know, in the beginning with my family and my parents, you know, our foundation of how we want to show up in the world is built via them. And they definitely gave me a great understanding of what it meant to be an entertainer, how to use my platform to make sure that there was intentionality behind the roles that I chose and the way I showed up for the causes that were important to me, and being a representation or representative of my community. So that was the basis of it. But then as I got older and I started to understand different things about myself and my personal life, I just became even more specific. And I talk about that in Masters Me, that every step that I took, whether it been for acting or music or hosting, it all led me to where I am now and who I've become as a businesswoman, and how I want to give back, how I want to take the infrastructure that I built with my family for the Keke Palmer brand and create something that can allow others to do the same with their own brands. I think that's the big thing, you know. And then again, it all stems from that same seed that my parents, you know, invested in me. But then it became something new because of the experiences that I had and the work that I did and the skills that I obtained.
Okay, so you mentioned it take to get there.
Trial and error, and then I think the acceptance of trial and error. The reason why I stumbled upon the phrase master of me is because I wanted to find a way to articulate what it felt like for me to become a performer, to lose myself in the performance, but then to remember that I was the one that created the performance to begin with. You know, so if I created the performance to begin with, then I have the awareness to know what I want those people to see. What is the framework in which the audience is looking at me? Because that lens is in my control. And so that was again through growth, through trial and error, through refining myself and realizing what it was I wanted to say at each step. And after having my son, you know, that was a big change for me. You know what I mean?
You could just say Leo because they all
Leo gave me a whole new life. The boundaries that I didn't know that I needed to have showed up because I wanted to be the best parent I could be for him. So yeah, master of me, when we think about a master, we immediately think that's somebody that knows it all. But I think the real form of mastery is being flexible, being able to change with the times, not being afraid to evolve and to pivot. And that's the power that I found within myself. That's to me what made me a master. And what I wanted to share with anybody who read the book, that all you have to do is keep going. That's it. Oh, I shouldn't do this. And at each step, I did have people telling me, oh, that doesn't make sense. When I came into the game, being a multifaceted entertainer, I mean, when you go back to the 1920s and 30s, what I do is not original. Being a multifaceted entertainer, being a vaudevillain, that's nothing but theater. You know, it's common there. But when I came into the industry, it was something that people no longer remembered. And so I remember being with my mom and saying, she said, Keke, if you could sing, you could dance, you could act, there's no reason why you shouldn't do all of it. And she encouraged me to continue. And then when I was about 18 or 19, I started getting into content creation. And people are like, well, you're a traditional talent. Why would you be doing digital? Well, because that's what's happening and that's what I'm enjoying, so I'm gonna do what I like. And then from there, it went to hosting. Why would you be on Good Morning America? Because I'm saying hey to America. Why wouldn't I be saying hey to them? You know? And so it's about not being afraid to try something new and to go with the times. I mean, at the end of the day, no door needs to be locked to you. That's what building a brand is. It's not about one industry. It's about you cultivating space for yourself in all. Now that's T-Boo.
Okay, before I ask you one more
And there is a scene in the movie where somebody is double dutching. We can maybe have you in there as background. Me and my mom said, well, hell, this is something, so let's get to double dutching. So I went to church. You know, you have the after school summer programs and y'all out there doing stuff, playing hopscotch, everything else in between. And so they all helped me learn how to double dutch. But the funny thing is they end up calling me back for the role. So I was preparing to double dutch. I was preparing the scene. I was ready for whatever they was going to give me. And so I ended up doing the movie, but then years later, I end up getting offered jump in. And I'm like, I know how to do it. And I had so much fun doing that movie. A lot of those movies when I was a kid, it was so great because it was some of the only time that I got to be around other kids. Because by the time that we moved to California, I was 10 years old. I'd only gone to regular school up to the 5th grade. And so then I was homeschooled. And so when I would get to do kid movies, I was so excited because finally I'm around kids my own age. So that was really a fun time in my life.
Somehow you're here, but you dropped a single yesterday. Tell us a little bit about the new album and the single from yesterday.
Oh my gosh, so the Just Keke album is a visual album. And now we've been releasing so the visual album exists on YouTube, on KTV Network. That's the channel that I built. That's also features other great shows, guys, scripted, unscripted. We've been educating, democratizing, and creating entertainment with the next generation of BIPOC creators. So check KTV out regardless, whether you look at Just Keke or some of the other shows we have on there. But Just Keke dropped, and we dropped it in full. You know what I mean? Because y'all know as artists, we're like, you have to watch it in full. It won't make sense if you don't see it from beginning to end. And so we dropped the album, the musical, visual, all in one. But then now we're releasing the individual videos because you know people have favorites, so they can watch them individually on the channel. So that's the individual drops. But the Just Keke album is so exciting for me because again, it's me continuing to take what I've learned and investing it in myself, which we all know it can be so difficult. Yet we go out every single day asking somebody else to invest in us, and then we're afraid to rub our pennies together. You know, but it gets to a point where you have to say, well, I gotta put my money where my mouth is, because if I'm telling you that I'm worth it, then I've got to show myself that I'm worth it. And that's, you know, I continue to be on this journey, and it has not been easy. And I'm so grateful again to my family, my mother, all the people that I get an opportunity to work with that continue to push me forward, because you don't do it alone. But when I did my Lauren EP, I did my Big Boss album. She is exactly who she says she is. I'm so honored to get an opportunity to work with her. You know, do number 2. We're getting ready to do one of them days too. she's like, she
She's the
shows
voice
up.
inside your head.
Yeah, she's my voice inside my head. So love Issa Rae down. Now, KTV, it came right when I did at the end of Nope. I was doing Nope, and I felt to myself, okay, you know, as a performer, I feel like, you know, not that I'm finished talking, but I've said a lot of what I want to say. You know, I started out as a kid, and I had, you know, many great moments with True Jackson VP, Jump In, Healing the Bee, you know, and then my career changed. I had to rebuild and evolve as an entertainer, and I ended up doing Hustlers, and then I got to do, you know, No, and all these projects that reintroduced me to my audience as an adult. And I said, okay, well, now what's next? Because it feels like it can't keep being about me. There has to be a way that I can create a legacy that reaches that can take what I've built and reach beyond just me as a performer. And so I started talking, and I sat down with my partner, Lenora Addison, and I said, I want to do something like, I think KTV, like a way that we can, you know, help the next generation take the blueprint of what I did and teach them how to do it for themselves in whatever field. But definitely we got to start with entertainment, because that's what I know the best. And so I, you know, put knows publicity, call them. If this person knows event planning, call them. If I've got the idea, I got the idea. You know what I mean? But we all work together. So I've learned to lean on the other really intelligent people beside me. And I've also learned to have patience and to lean into the excitement of starting something new. I had a conversation with Tyler Perry, and I said, sometimes I feel like Keke Palmer for me is Medea. You know, it's this suit. It's a costume, because I'm not in my house saying, and the girl. It's like I love what I built with Keke Palmer, but what I want to give to my community and what I want to take that I've learned and give outward, like that's where I'm going now. It's not just about Keke Palmer getting a role and booking a gig. It's about how can I book gigs and how can we share the gigs. And you know, and so Tyler with me, he's done that. He's built an infrastructure that doesn't just benefit him, that benefits a lot of other people. And so and he said, you know, never resent what got you where you're going. But don't lean into the fear, lean into the excitement of starting something new. And so that's where I'm at with it. You know, leaning into the excitement of starting something new. And I'm very excited what KTV is going to be doing. And again, like I said, I thank you guys for checking it out, who has, who will after this. It means a lot because it's about supporting our voices, you know.
I'll say.
So it's like, let me focus on what I can focus on. Let me focus on what makes sense for me. If this is good for me, let me move on from there. I can't worry about who shot John. I just can't, you know. They say that, I think Toni Morrison said that's the true function of racism. That's to distract you.
Right. That's right.
I can't be distracted. I have too much stuff to do. And so that's how I feel about on that end. But then when it comes to raising, so it's like, let me focus on what I can focus on. Let me focus on what makes sense for me. If this is good for me, let me move on from there. I can't worry about who shot John. I just can't, you know. They say that, I think Toni Morrison said that's the true function of racism. That's to distract you.
Right. That's right.
I can't be distracted. I have too much stuff to do. And so that's how I feel about on that end. But then when it comes to raising, so I became someone that didn't have to depend on one source of income so that I could gain more capital where I needed for my personal business. And so it's one of those things where you just have to get creative.
So was it instinct? Was it data? Was it experience? Like what helped you to get there?
I think I worked with Awesomeness TV, and I saw what they were doing with digital content creators and brands, because they're the ones with the real money. Let me just tell you that like that. Studios are cool, but like American Express, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like those companies that advertising companies, they have a lot of money. So if you can find a way to assist, when I realized that they're trying to tell a story and I tell stories, I realized that I had a partner for life.
Yeah.
I realized that I can do this, because marketing is nothing but storytelling, and that's what all this is. Whether I'm marketing my brand or you're marketing your brand, and if we can align on what that is, and let's go tell a story to these people, let's make some bread. You know? And so I think it was just from watching and seeing and learning and getting in those different corners to see how people are making it happen. Even when you look at one of them days, like Issa Rae, yeah, she went to Sony and she did it with Sony, but if you watch the movie back, we had brands. You know why? Because they was cutting extra check that the studio wouldn't cut. And she knew what she had to do to make sure that the movie was as good as it needed to be. So you gotta get creative, and that's the main thing. Whether it's going to the production company, then going to the studio, then going to the brand company, companies, then going to the individual investor, make it work, you know.
Okay, I'm gonna ask one random.
I love this fun question right here. I'm gonna tell you something. I hate cold water. I feel that it just freezes my insides out. I can't even drink it fast enough. Like, it's too cold. What is we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the cold water. So I'm a room temp girl. I don't know why. I'm so glad that y'all accepted that because I thought I was crazy.
It's no What's the biggest business?
But you have to search and find the people that can support you and make sure that they're supporting the direction in which you're going in. And so that was a big thing for me because for many years, it was just Keke Palmer, the entertainer, the brand. But now I'm building something beyond that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at companies like Estee Lauder. I'm looking at companies like Walt Disney. Those were people at one time, but they left behind.
Well, we're a P&G town. So we're a Procter & Gamble town.
Yeah! Period. We love them too. You know, when you're thinking about reference points, it's like people that left something behind, that left an enterprise behind that was once singular and then became for everything. And so once I realized, okay, this is changing for me, I realized that I had to change the way that I was looking at my finances and how I was working. Well, isn't that crazy how that happened? They named me Lauren Kiana, ready for work and assimilation. And it was Keke all day. But yeah, so my sister made that name, but when I was getting ready to become an entertainer, I did go by Lauren Kiana Palmer. Even at the end of Barbershop 2, when you see the name of my character, it says the actress is Lauren Kiana Palmer. But when we moved to California, I had a manager that, you know, I'm in a room, I'm doing what kids do, not listening to my mom. And she's like, Keke, she goes to the family name. And he's like, what are you calling her? And he's like, I'm calling her, this is what we call her at home, it's her nickname, Keke. He said, no, that's her name. Keke Palmer. That has a ring to it. And so then that's when it became my stage name. Which I talk a lot about in Just Keke, just the differentiation from what is rich in our culture that then becomes commodified. Right. You know, because Keke came with a certain vibration, a certain frequency. That's I'm safe. I'm with my family now. That's not how I went to private school. You know what I mean? And so when Keke became my front-facing name, again, in my Master of Me and in Just Keke, I talk a lot about that, both different ways. One is written audiobook, the other one is visual and music. But I talk about that fragmentation that happened and how I reintegrated that and took ownership over my identity essentially again through that. Anyhow, back to what you were saying. My mom and my dad, they're not, I don't think there's ever been a point where they no longer were a part of my career or my storytelling for my brand. I think it just changed. You know, there was a time where I'm like, sure, you cannot cuss these people out. They're talking about my daughter. So I had to take the reins from her then. But she's still very much a part of it. I'm just more a part of it, I would say. Because when I was younger, I think a lot of times it was, I had a lot of ideas and I was driving it, but I was only saying it to her. Because I was afraid. I didn't know really how to say it to other people. And I was always trying to be a good kid and I didn't want to do too much. And the industry had also hurt me in a lot of ways, you know, especially with music. It can be just stifling to a child's growth. Like it can be to an adult. Any type of corporate industry, it can really stifle you. And so it's why Obama was like, there really is no work-life balance. And I do agree with that to a certain degree where it's like, it's all, a scale is going to tip at some point. I think it's the way that we recover that matters the most. When I'm traveling and stuff like that, that's when my scale tips the most. That's when it gets most chaotic. Because how can you keep up with your rituals when you're in a different time zone, or when you don't get to go to sleep on time? And so it becomes difficult, but I've learned to give myself a break and say, well, the recovery is where I return to myself, is where I pick back up. Just because one thing fell off, it don't mean I have to go all the way around with it. I can recover it, you know, right after and start anew. So that mindset shift has helped a lot. But then, you know, when I don't have to travel too much and I do get some essential control of the reins, I become very specific with my schedule. And if I'm not available, I'm not available. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even crazy. It's not like I'm doing crazy extensive things. It's just like every 2 weeks I know by this time I'm gonna need a breather. You know, I've learned myself enough to know I need a moment for this, or this day I can't have too much. Like, let's schedule this. And not being afraid to like communicate, because I do think that's something, I don't know if that's just something with, you know, Americans or something with black folks in general, where it's like we don't want to challenge the thing. To say, can we Well, did you ask if you could flip it? You know? And so I've learned, like, half the time when I'm thinking I had to do it, it's like, actually, if I would have just said this day works better, they're open. You know, this timing is better for me. I gotta leave here. I need a hard out. I love a hard out. I got a hard out today. So much, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I've just become more clear.
Food in my home. Wow.
I don't know if I have a favorite impersonation. It's so funny when people talk about my impersonation because I really just be showing love to the people that I live for. You know what I'm saying? I don't even really think about this as an impersonation. It's just me showing love to it. You know what so I just feel like, hey, you know, Angela Bassett is the one that they always have me do the most. And it's so funny because when I was doing Joyful Noise, I feel like the reason why that impression is so good is because Queen Latifah had me do that every day. I did it for her one time, and then whenever she did it last, she was like, Keke, just do Angela. And so y'all have Queen Latifah to thank for that perfected Angela Bassett impression. Because she had me do that every day. Every day.
So,
You've been late. I be saying it to my son when he's bad. I'm like, you a little. Get it together, Leo.
So storytelling in the age of
No longer afraid to pursue. As a entrepreneur, you said. What'd you say?
or just
as a person.
As a person. We got her, you guys.
I mean, that's a twofold thing. Because the answer that I have is going to be like, it's going to sound contradictory, but I think it's something that we probably should fold more into the entrepreneur storyline, because a lot of times when we talk about entrepreneurs of our time or even before our time, I think this aspect is missing, but I'm not afraid of rest. I'm not afraid anymore. Because my eyes tired, boss. So I think rest, like as entrepreneurs, like you're wearing a lot of hats, you're doing a lot of things, and I think that's how when we do see a crash out or somebody's like, oh, I can't, you know, it's because you didn't rest. You know what I mean? You let the wheel outrun you so fast that now you can't turn back. And I refuse for that to be the case. I mean, that's just too much. That's just, you know what I mean? Like, let's just slow it down a little bit and then get back to it. Because if it gets to a point where what I'm saying no longer can make sense because I've shot myself too far. You know, I don't want to be, you know what I mean? So I think that I realize that rest is a big part of being a successful entrepreneur. It's very important for us to be able to have a clear mind. And when you're trying, like when you feel whatever is rooting you in your work, for me it's God. I want to be a vessel of God. I want to be used by God. It's like, God, I don't even want to be here if you don't feel this right. Okay? Because what else is going on? Like, I just need you to guide me. And if that's how I'm coming, then I gotta rest. Otherwise, my message might be convoluted. The stuff I'm saying might not make sense. The choices that I make might be misguided. And so I'm not afraid to rest because I know that rest is bringing me closer to the mission.
That's right.
And so that's really big for me. You know, I remember talking to Raven Simone and she said, you're going to enjoy your 30s, Keke, because the 30s are the decade of revelations.
Yes, it is.
She said, you're going to realize so much and see so much and learn so much about yourself, and she ain't lying. It's been a learning thing, and honestly, the 20s, you can have them. They lied to us. Because 30s got me excited for 40. It's good over here. Okay.
Let me tell you, 47 is so nice. Okay, so
I mean, there's like not one sector of our life that people told us what it needs to be, or otherwise we ain't doing right. Whether it's love, whether it's in business, whether it's in how we show up, it's our sexuality, it's how we present, too masculine, too feminine, too this, too that. I think that's a really hard thing to be constantly projected upon, and to never have a mirror that truly, really reflects you. You know? Because you're not being seen. And so what I would say is, see yourself. And don't look out. Because the reflection is going to be blurred, it's going to be obscured, and ain't going to be true. But you are going to always know who you are. Hold on to that voice. Hold on to that person. Whatever it is that you wanted to do, that you dreamed of doing, who you thought you could be, or what you wanted to say. I don't care if they said it was lame, corny, or whack. Do it. Do it. Because it's in you to do. And the world doesn't know. That's what my mom used to always tell me. She was like, girl, the world don't know. They believe you to be who you say you are. If you keep running, you a runner. If you keep joking, you a joker. If you keep serving, you a server. Whatever it is you do, do it to your full potential, and that's who you are. So don't let the world project their things onto you or onto us anymore. No, I'm done with that.
As we wrap up today,
All the time.
God is good. All right, baby, this was Keke Walmart.
I really appreciate you.
Did y'all enjoy Miss Keke? I'm so glad y'all had a wonderful time.